Retired University of Illinois professor and unrepentant terrorist Bill Ayers is back and still as unrepentant as ever. Now, he joined my friend Larry Elder on his radio show yesterday for an epic interview, and things got heated, well, to say the least. Just listen to this.
What do you think about the fact that I think you're a terrorist? What do you think about the fact that I think you're a degenerate? You're a degenerate who ought to apologize for what you've done. That's what I think.
That's certainly your opinion. That's fine. It doesn't affect me one way or the other. But
obviously not. You live in a country that apparently has forgiven you, allowed you to go to University of Illinois and teach and work for the very government that you tried to attack in the 70s. It's really quite remarkable. It's quite remarkable that you walk around, your head held high, you try to attack a police building, the Pentagon, the Capitol. You're not in jail. You never spend any time in jail. It's remarkable.
Well, you are absolutely have drunk the Kool-Aid, and you think anything your government does has to be terrific, but it's not.
I'm talking about what you did, Mr. Ayers. Lots of people protested the Vietnam War. Very few people blew up police stations, blew up the Capitol building, blew up the Pentagon.
I understand, and I never justify it in the book, and I never say that it was terrific, and I admit that we crossed lines of legality.
You never said it was terrific?
Wait a minute. Never. Read the
How about saying, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done it. I apologize. I was wrong. It was immoral. It was unjust. I could have killed somebody. I was wrong. How about that, Mr. Ayers?
And joining me now, the man who conducted that interview, my friend, national syndicated radio talk shows on Talk Radio 790 KBC, and a syndicated columnist, the one and only Larry. I am so jealous. That was great radio, great stuff. How did you get it?
I have no idea why he came on. My producer, Jason Rose, called him and said, would you like to come on Larry Elder's show? And Ayers said, sure. And when my producer said that, I said, does Ayers know who I am? He says, I don't think he does. I said, does he know what I want to talk to him about? He says, I don't think he does. I said, trust me, he won't come on. 15 minutes before the interview, Sean, Ayers sends him an email and says, what does Elder want to talk about? I said, okay, there it is. I said, tell him I want to talk about his book, Fugitive Days, about his attempt to blow up buildings, the fact that he's unrepentant, and his relationship with Barack Obama, and whether or not he wrote Barack Obama's first book. I said, tell him that. He won't come on.
What did he say about the first book?
Well, we never got to it, Sean. We went to DEFCON 5 right away, and you heard the interview. Yeah. We never got to it. But anyway, when he told him all that stuff, Ayers said, oh, okay. I mean, he's amazing. 40 years, he's walked around, made a living, tenured professor at a government university. The irony is just so thick you can cut it with a knife. He's retired now on a pension and has never said, I'm sorry, never said I was wrong. Absolutely astounding.
You know, I got to give you a lot of credit, because I don't think anybody, and this was so frustrating to me during the campaign, because if you bomb the Pentagon, if you bomb the Capitol, you bomb New York City Police Headquarters, and you're not sorry about it. And of all days, he wrote he wasn't sorry about it, unrepentant, on 9/11, 2001. And as far as I know, Larry, you are the only one to have ever had the opportunity to confront him, or the courage to confront him this way.
Well, you know that on September 11, 2001, he was interviewed by the New York Times, front page story.
Yep.
And he did not do anything differently than those 19 terrorists did on that fateful day, Sean, by taking planes and running them into government buildings and crashing that one in Pennsylvania. What was the difference fundamentally? They had a beef with American foreign policy. They resorted to terrorism. He had a beef with the Vietnam War, and he resorted to terrorism. There was no difference between what he did and what those hijackers did on that day.
Well, and this goes to the heart of our media. You know, when Barack Obama was asked one time during the campaign, once, this is a guy, he started his political career in Bill Ayers' house, the unrepentant terrorist. He sat on boards with him, gave speeches with him, and when asked the one time, his answer was, well, he's a guy in the neighborhood. Now, let me play the segment where you talk about the Vietnam War and him trying to explain away why he planted bombs in America.
A majority of Americans opposed it by 1968.
Professor, a majority of Americans opposed it at one point. You are right. Very few of them, however, tried to bomb a New York City police headquarters, or tried to bomb the Capitol building, or tried to bomb the Pentagon.
Right.
Now, let's just take it from the top. Then, do you regret setting those bombs?
Not at all. And the reason is no one was hurt, no one was killed, property was destroyed. Meanwhile, every week that the war went on, 6,000 people were killed. Now, let me ask you this. If your government enters an illegal, immoral, unjust war and is killing 6,000 people a week, how do you stop it? What would you do?
I wouldn't blow up. I wouldn't blow up buildings.
Now, they came within seconds in one of those bombs in the Capitol of killing young people and a family. So, and they also, there were part of the Weather Underground members building bombs were killed. What does this tell you about Barack Obama? What does this tell you about the media, Larry?
Well, it says a lot about Barack Obama. It says a lot about the media. It says a lot about Bill Ayers. This was a legitimate campaign issue. And frankly, Sean, we ought to also direct a little bit of our ire toward John McCain. He virtually refused to deal with this as an issue. When it was finally coming from his mouth, he said something like, I don't care about an old washed-up terrorist or something like that, as opposed to making it a legitimate issue. And the larger issue is what you and Donald Trump were talking about earlier in your show, Sean, and that is the pass that Barack Obama has gotten. And not just that stuff, but he said he gave tax cuts to 95% of American people. Well, 30% don't pay any taxes at all. How do you give somebody like that a tax cut?
Yeah.
And the stimulus bill, he said he was going to save or create 3.5 million jobs. He certainly hasn't been called on the carpet for it. He is still been getting a pass by the mainstream media.
You know, I got to tell you, when I was doing all the Ayers and Reverend Wright and Resco stuff, I can't tell you how many people that said, Hannity, you're going over the top, and then only later said, well, it turned out you might have been right on all this. Let me play one more cut, and this is a really important interview, Larry, that you did here for a lot of reasons, because he's still unrepentant. I still want these questions answered. I want to know if he was friends with Louis Farrakhan, considering Malik Zulu Shabazz recently said that when you sat at his table, Mrs. Farrakhan and Mrs. Obama are on the front page of a magazine together. Nobody's ever asked him that question. Let's play him trying to claim that John McCain, who spent 5 years in a POW camp, is a war criminal.
The Weather Underground indeed did take responsibility for a handful, maybe a dozen, extreme acts of vandalism. That's true. That's true. And so compared to what was going on every day in Vietnam, including the illegal bombing of cities, which John McCain took part in, and he is, of course, a war criminal, as is everyone, as several people admitted when they came back, including the Vietnam Vets Against the War. War crimes were not a matter of choice. They were a matter of policy. Bombing vast stretches of countryside because you had extra ordnance. That's what John McCain did. So he actually killed people. I actually didn't kill people. Who's the one who should account for themselves?
Unreal.
He is a terrorist. He's unrepentant in his terrorism. You got that out of him in this interview. He's Barack Obama's friend. Barack Obama gave speeches with him, sat on boards with him. Barack Obama starts his political campaign in this man's house. Nobody cares.
And notice how
we're nuts.
And notice how Ayers referred to it as vandalism. You know, like he was a graffiti artist, like he was a gangbanger just marking turf. Vandalism? Wow.
Well,
incredible.
When you put Ayers, Wright, Resco together, this is why, if people have asked, why do you think Donald Trump's doing so well in the polls? You know why I think he's doing well in the polls? Because he's fighting. He's talking about things that we're told we can't talk about. I think that's why he's doing so well. People are saying, amen. Somebody's saying it.
Yeah. Well, but look, the birther thing, I think Donald Trump has raised some very interesting questions. The people that believe Obama wasn't born here are not going to vote for him anyway. The larger question, again, Sean, I come back to it, is the pass that Barack Obama has gotten. He has gotten better publicity, fewer hard questions, more softball questions than any presidential candidate I have ever seen. And if the media has anything to do about it, they will reelect him. I remember when Chris Matthews says, as a journalist, forget about whether or not he's a journalist, as a journalist, it's my job to make sure he succeeds. That's how they feel.
Yeah, well, the thrill up his leg the whole time. You know, look, I think probably he was born in the United States. I believe he was. But the idea, just produce the stupid thing and let's move on. I find the whole way they've handled it odd. All right, Larry Elder, great stuff. Honestly, this is an important interview. Appreciate you taking time to share with us.
You can hear the whole interview on LarryElder.com.
You got it. And by the way, I recommend everyone go there and listen to it. And Larry, we'll talk on radio next week. Thank you.